I'm Chris.
I'm Sandy.
And this is Parenting Autism.
Here we go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 136 of the Parenting Autism podcast. It's been a little while since we've been on, and we're here to just update everybody as to what's going on.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, honey. So, yes, it's been a little while since we've been on here. Part of the reason was because we redid our office where we record this podcast, so it was under construction. We finally repainted it. We finally have it looking much nicer, and we're in our happy blue room, right?
Yeah, it is looking much nicer.
Yeah.
We tried several different paint samples, and we just didn't like any of them, and then one of them clicked, I guess.
It did, and we went from a Southwest orange to a very peaceful Caribbean blue.
Yep.
So it's nice. And now we've got the podcast set up again, so we'll be able to come on here a little more often, hopefully.
Yep.
And then, of course, the other reason why we're not on here is because our schedules have changed significantly in the past month or two. And so I thought today, I was originally going to do a podcast about what's in our podcast library and talk about what we listen to and why we listen to it and that sort of thing. And I would like to do that for the future. But since it's been a while since we've been on here, and this is all about parenting autism, I thought we would come on and just talk about a little more about how things have changed and how that is affecting Bryce and how well he is really doing with all the transitions that have happened in the past 4 months specifically, but definitely the last month or two. And so we have mentioned before that you are now the one working outside of the home primarily while I am home with Bryce. And when things started to change at first with the cancer diagnosis, you were still doing school, but now it's come to the point that we have figured out that it's best if I do all the school so that you can work mornings and afternoons. Sorry, I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, so before I was doing school in the morning and then working afternoons, and now it's shifted to you doing school because I was trying to do it all and it wasn't working. It was
way too much.
I didn't have enough time for work. I didn't have enough time for school. And so, you took over the school duties and I'm working during the day.
Yep.
Yep.
So that was a big transition for all of us, but you can imagine the impact on Bryce because he has been very used to having you as his primary school teacher since kindergarten, and he's just now finishing up 5th grade.
Yeah.
So I feel like the Lord really worked it all out, as he always does, with his perfect timing, because when I left my job last year, I kind of was phasing into helping with the teaching. And while you were doing his, what we call core classes, I was doing some other things to help his education and help him with several different therapies and things. And so he was getting used to working with me and me getting used to working with him. It was good for me to have that time to kind of see how he learns, because he learns differently than I do and than you do. And so even though I have always been aware of what's going on with you teaching him, it's very different when you're hands-on and doing it every day. And so that has been a big transition for me and for Bryce, but he now knows and he trusts me to be his teacher. And I had to earn his trust. In fact, think of the big math exam was coming up. So last week he had his final math exam
For fifth grade.
for fifth grade. So it was going back to the beginning of the year through what we just studied. Well, I wasn't with him in the beginning of the year. So he was very worried about that. And I had said, don't worry, Bryce. It's not that big of a deal. You'll do fine. So then when we start, this is the review.
Mm-hmm.
And the review, I didn't realize, is equally as long as the test. And the review was 40 questions, but there's multiple problems within the questions. So it's kind of like he has to give more than 60 answers.
Yeah.
So for Bryce, for anybody, honestly, that's overwhelming. But for Bryce, it's very magnified.
It's definitely getting harder and harder.
And it is harder. And it was a lot of stuff with division. And I think division is the most difficult of the four if you're talking about addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. So we were working through it, and I think we were probably halfway through, and he says, see, Mommy, you just don't know. This was a lot more than you thought it was. And I said, okay, I will admit this is a lot more than I thought it was. Because I had never done a math review with him before.
He's been saying some
to know
funny
the
things
extent of
lately.
it. So it was pretty funny. So we got through the review, and I knew then there's no way we're going to roll from the review right into the test. So I said, okay, so tomorrow will be test day, and we will not do language arts because that's our only other core subject left. I said, that will be the only school that we do is just your math exam. And then I had a reward on the backside of that we would go to, I think he's got pizza that day. So it worked out well. And I also really coached him like you do as well sorry, I'm having a hard time with my voice. That he doesn't have to get them all right. It does not have to be perfect.
Yeah.
You just need to pass. Remember, there's an average here because some people do better, some people do worse, but all you got to do is pass. It's okay. You don't have to get them all right. And so he even said to himself some point through the test, I don't have to get these all right. So I'm going to guess on this one, and I'm just going to give it my best guess. I said, perfect. That's all I want you to do. Just make an effort and give your best guess. And if it's not right, it's okay. And so that's what he did. And he ended up getting a 94% on it. And he was thrilled with that. And I was thrilled with that because I honestly thought he might have gotten in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So when I saw 94, I'm like, yes. But so it's been really good. It's encouraging for me that we're getting into sync. Oh, that's what he said to me, something about, well, I need Daddy to do this test because, he knows all the stuff, which we've heard that before. And I said,
the review or the test?
It was for the review and the test.
Yeah.
So I said, well, just in case you don't know, I was valedictorian in my class, so I know a lot of stuff too. Now, Daddy knows more stuff than I know in some areas, but when it comes to math, that's what my job was. That's what my career was. I'm pretty good with the math. I think I can help you. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. So then he was like, the confidence was there. So
yeah,
that's really cute.
I don't know where he got the idea that he had to, get an A every time. I mean, it's good to want to get an A, but he is so afraid of not getting an A. I don't want him to be afraid of not getting an A.
Right.
And I don't know where that comes from, but we've told him many times that, it's okay to miss a few, it's just okay.
When you think about it, it comes from probably even when he's younger and learning, if you get something wrong, then you get the red X. And who wants a red X? You always want to have the green check mark, right?
I don't want him to grow up a perfectionist.
I know, but I'm just saying. And that is it. It's a perfectionist mindset. And
I hope it's not anything that I'm doing to him,
I see what you're saying. I don't think. If anything, you and I have been good about encouraging him that he does not have to be perfect, and that it's always just about doing your best. And yes, if you get them all right, that's great, but it doesn't matter. You just need to pass. You need to learn it. You need to understand it. And when we were going through his math exam, there was one question that was like, what is the quotient of 450,000 divided by 10. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he sees 450,000 with 4 zeros in it.
Right.
That's an overwhelming number for him. Although I know they're just wanting him to get the concept of where to put the decimals and how to divide. So he was really struggling with it, and he didn't have it right, and I knew he didn't have it right, and that was okay. I just said to him, you know what, Bryce, you're just going to do your best on this one. Give it your best guess, and I'm going to tell you that you will rarely in your lifetime ever need to know what 450,000 is divided by 10. Mm-hmm. I said, but there's other problems on here that you're going to need to know very often, and especially if you're going to want to do some of the jobs that you want to do, like with space or with being a pilot or being, I said, math is very important. So there's some basics you have to learn. You don't have to, but you need to learn if you can. Mm-hmm. But there's other things that they're going to come up and it's not really important. And we're going to help you figure those things out. So that was kind of the gist of the conversation that I had with him. And that's going to be my approach with him, which I can tell you've done a great job with him. I also can see where he struggles. Like, you know, we talked about his memorization for multiplications. Mm-hmm. I know he knows them. He just has a hard time pulling them out maybe as quickly as I would think he could. But then I'm realizing, okay, so he knows they're in there. Some of those are harder for him, and it's just stuff that we can brush up on. But you've done a great job with him, and he's a sharp kid.
Yeah, I think it's important that, you know, we help him when he has a review. You know, we just kind of that's what it is. It's a review. If he's stuck on something, we review the concept. But if he's going to, then he goes to the exam and he knows that he's on his own during the exam and that there's zero help for those. So that's what a good teacher should do. Yeah. They should always prep the student for the exam. Mm-hmm. And the curriculum that we use is great because a lot of the questions that are in the review are also in the exam, but they may not put the answers in the same sequence. And that's just so that his brain can't memorize it like that, but he still has to recognize it, but he does. And I know I always appreciated it when a teacher would give us some answers on the review that were then on the test, you know, so at least you could get the majority right. And there would be a few surprises. So, so we are lining up now to finish language arts. I believe he's going to have to write some type of essay, which that should be fun. But he's getting a lot of those concepts too, and I'm pleased. And again, Bryce is going to work at his pace, and he's going to learn what he's able to learn, and we help him the best that we can. And I'm really happy with how things are going, and I'm happy that I have this opportunity to do these things with him. Yeah, you know, when I started teaching him and you were working, he missed you, right? So, like, he wanted his mommy time when you got home, and now it's switched. So he kind of misses me now, and he has a lot of extra time with you, which is really nice. So he's gotten to be with both of us.
A lot of quality time with both of us.
Yep. And so that's been good for him, I think.
I think so too. And yeah, he does definitely miss you. But I think having worn the shoes that you're wearing now, you have an appreciation for the time that you have with him because you miss him.
Yeah.
Right? You miss him during the day. I mean, even though you're busy and work keeps you busy, but there's still, I mean.
I miss, I didn't realize how much I would enjoy teaching him and watching him learn.
Right.
And the two of us, you know, if he had a question about something, we would really drill down on it, or, you know, we would watch a YouTube video about it, or, you know, did you know this about that? You know, so we really expand on whatever the subject was that he might have had a question about. And I really enjoyed giving him the extra knowledge about whatever that subject was. It was, I don't know what, I can't explain it, but it was just very.
But don't you, it's very bonding in a lot of ways. But I notice now, which is great because you do come home like for your lunch break in between. And sometimes we're still doing school. So you'll get to like jump in and you guys do your little.
Yeah, we had our little things.
Your little things that you guys did that I didn't know anything about. And it's cute to watch.
Yeah.
And it also, now you have these other opportunities when you go out with him that you can still teach him things. It's just not from the classroom perspective. Yeah. So tell about, I just put a YouTube video on of your night out with him. Thursday was boys' night out.
Yeah.
And he can talk about what you did with the penny, which I thought was, again, you just kind of teaching him stuff, which is cool.
Yeah. So we were going to the city north of us, and we parked I was looking for a parking space, and then there's train tracks downtown in Fort Pierce. So there was a train going by, and then we parked in the parking garage finally, and then there was another train going by, all these trains going by, because we have Brightline now, which runs from Orlando to Miami. So they're going by like every half an hour or hour. And then we have freight trains going down the East Coast. So those come by too. And he actually saw one. We were getting out of the truck, and the freight train like pulled up behind the parking garage, and then all of a sudden it started backing up, and he thought that was the best thing since sliced bread. He's like, I've never seen one go forward and then switch and go backwards, cool. Except in his video game that he plays. And so he was excited. I tried to get him like outside the truck. We kind of walked over there, but when it started backing up, he was scared because that meant that the engine was coming back toward us, and the engine has the horn, right? So I think he was afraid that horn might go off. So I'm like, all right, go ahead, go back to the truck. So he sat in the truck, and then the train, I guess it went back to the yard or wherever it came from. And so he got out, and we had to walk across the train tracks to get where we were going. And it dawned on me that I don't think that we've ever set a penny on the train track before. And a lot of kids do that, because they want to see what happens to the penny. Did
you do that when you were younger?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Because I never, we went around the tracks, but I never did anything like that.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So I grabbed some pennies. And so I had 3 pennies, and there was three sets of tracks. So 3 sets of tracks, or 4 sets of, I don't know, but there was I had 3 pennies, and there was 8 or 12 rails, right? Okay. Or whatever it was. And I'm like, oh no, I can't cover all the tracks.
Right.
So what happens if it comes down the other track? So, we looked at one track, and we saw that it was a dead end. So I'm like, okay, the train's not going to be on this track. So let's put our pennies on these other 2 tracks. So I had 2 pennies on one set of tracks and 1 penny on the other set of tracks. So the train came, and he's like, Daddy, come on, come back. He wouldn't
he didn't want to get close.
He didn't want to get close.
I did see that in the video.
So I'm like, we can come to the gate where it comes down. You just can't go past. No, Daddy, you got to stand back here. Okay. So I couldn't really tell which track the train was coming down.
Yeah.
But when it got close, we knew which one it was. And then, of course, the train goes by, and I'm like, okay, let's go find our penny. And it was gone off the track. And I'm like, okay, well, how far did this thing fly?
Right.
And so we're looking around, and I spotted it. It was maybe a foot from where I had it on the rail. And I'm like, Bryce, check that out. So it's on YouTube if anybody wants to see it, Parenting Autism. And so he was so excited when we found the penny, and it was flat as a pancake.
I could not believe you guys found it. I
know.
And he's got it in his room now as a souvenir.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
So it's just a real flat piece of copper. You can't even see any markings from the penny. So
no, you would not know.
No, you wouldn't know it was a penny. So it was cool. And he's like, well, that doesn't, he thought it would like interrupt the train. You know, is the wheel's not going to come off the track or anything? I'm like, no, the train is so heavy, it'll just flatten it.
Then I heard him say, the driver didn't even know he drove over a penny. I'm like, no, he had no idea.
Yeah, he didn't know. So that was really fun.
He was very excited about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had guys' night out, and then I had my special time with Bryce. You were with us too. Mm-hmm. But I think I've probably talked about that we've had tickets to go see CeCe Winans in concert for quite a while. I bought the tickets back in September before my cancer was even diagnosed. So I wasn't sure if I'd be able to go to this concert or not, but I was really praying about it. And I knew it was falling in between my scheduled chemo treatments. So we were able to go. Unfortunately, I got thrush, which I didn't even know was a possibility. I thought babies got thrush in their mouth. But apparently, for those who are learning with me, if you have a weakened immune system, that makes you very susceptible to getting it. And what happened was you and I, we had our date night.
Yeah, very
kind of
nice
precede the
date night.
CC. You and I finally got to have a date night, and we went to the Melting Pot. And so for those who aren't familiar with the Melting Pot, it's a fondue dinner dining experience where you cook your food right there at your table using skewers in a hot pan and sauces. So we started with cheese, which is one of our favorites. And we like the cheese and we like the chocolate at the end for dessert. Mm-hmm. And they had a really good salad, which we didn't have to cook that.
I thought the dinner was good.
And the food, it was good too. So it was a great experience. And the irony of all of this is that I enjoyed the entire meal and we came home and everything was good. And then later that night, I started feeling like what felt like a sore in my mouth. And I really haven't told you, but along this chemo journey, I have had sores come in my mouth here and there. Mm-hmm. And then they'll just kind of go away, which is great. But so I thought first I thought, oh, maybe it's another sore coming. Then I thought, oh, shoot, I must have burned my mouth because it was still hurting, kind of badly. So the next day I'm like, I think I told you I must have burned my mouth last night because it's really hurting in this one area.
And I looked at it and I was like, well, it looks pink. Like it's not red and bleeding or doesn't look infected. It just looks pink.
Yeah, you must have just burned it.
It must be healing.
Must be. I said. Yeah, that was like a few days later because I was like hurting. And I was using like Kenka sore medication on it. Well, that seemed to make it feel worse. And normally if I burn my mouth or if I have a sore, that makes it feel better. Mm-hmm. And then I had like that other numbing cream that you get, like it's kind of like Orajel. Yeah, in that family. So I was trying to put that on there. And I'm telling you, when I would put stuff on it, it felt like putting gasoline in a fire. It was made it feel worse rather than better. But I didn't want to eat. I was like,
and it was the weekend.
Well,
you tried to get into your dentist.
Yeah, because this all started like on a Friday night. We had our date night. So I had Saturday. And then Sunday, it's starting to get worse and it's going through the week. And it never crossed my mind that this would have to do with my cancer because I had told myself that this had to do with me burning my mouth. Mm-hmm. But it's getting worse and worse and worse. And then finally, by the next Friday, it's been a week. And I'm like, this is a week. This should be getting better. Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. Thursday night, my sister-in-law had come to visit. And she had told me about something she had used when she had something sores in her mouth. So I sent you that information because you were out with Bryce at the gym and you picked it up for me. Mm-hmm. I started using that. Oh my gosh, my mouth hurt so bad. It's like when you put peroxide on an open wound.
Yeah.
Ooh, I was like walking around the house trying to walk off the pain. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
And then we tried all these home remedies.
Yes. And then you're like studying. You're like, before there was medicine, there were other ways they made people feel better. So you're like giving me
the coconut oil.
Yes. And baking soda. And I'm putting all these things in my mouth. So
and
Friday,
you're going to go to the dentist.
Yes,
and then they were closed.
Yes, and I went 2 different times, not knowing that I thought they were at lunch. Then I go back and they are closed again. And then I look and they're closed on Fridays.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't call my oncologist because I didn't think that it had to do with the cancer. But by Saturday, I'm like, oh my word, this is horrible. Mm-hmm. It's getting worse. So I did call. You're like, just call, get the online doctor. Mm-hmm. So I called, was trying to get her to call me back. So finally she calls back and
what a debacle
the whole thing. So I started to tell her about it and she goes, well, I don't know what it could be. I said, could it be something else? Because I honestly do not think this is a burn.
Yeah.
And she said, well, it could be thrush. Is your tongue, she goes, it shouldn't be from the chemo. Right. She said, but if your tongue's white, so in the car, we were at Sam's parking lot. Mm-hmm. So I put down the rear view mirror and I look and I'm like, and I stuck it out at you and I'm like, does it look white to you? And
I'm
you're like,
yep.
Yes, it's definitely white. So I said, yes, my tongue is white. So that's what it is. I said, is there something you can do for that? Can you prescribe it? And she said, well, there's this thing called mouthwash. Yeah, magic mouthwash. So I can order that for you. And she said, you might get another infection, which I did. I'm like, well, I got something over the counter for that. Can you call me in something for that? So she's like, okay. So she calls it into the hospital clinic or pharmacy, because that's where I normally go.
And they're closed, right?
So then I was waiting for a call back, and then I look up to see their hours, and they were closed. So I call her back again on Sunday and said, can you switch it from that pharmacy to the local CVS by our house? Okay. And trust me, getting a hold of her was challenging, and it took hours for her to call me back. So finally, they got her the message to switch to CVS. So I'm waiting in pain, waiting. I call CVS. No, we went to go pick it up. We're like, let's just see if it's ready. And we called first. That's right.
Yeah, and they said, oh, it's on back order.
Yes, and he said we sent a note to the doctor to say it was on back order.
Yeah, you'll have to go to a compounding pharmacy or something. And we're like, okay, well, what about the pill? Oh, we don't have any orders for the pill.
Right.
I'm like, okay.
Because she didn't think to do that.
So I'm like, okay, let me call the doctor. So I called the doctor.
And this is Monday morning.
And she's like, oh, okay. Okay, let me call it in. What's the address again? Blah, blah, blah. So gave her all the information. I made sure that it was the CVS near our house.
Oh, no, this is still Sunday. Yeah.
And we wanted to get it before they closed. And we started this whole process in the morning.
Yeah.
And so she's like, okay, just give it a few minutes. Putting it in now and, it'll be there. Okay, thanks. So we had to go out later I think we're going to your mom's or something. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, let's stop in at CVS and get your medicine because it should be ready. It had been an hour or two. And so I pull up to the drive-thru after waiting in their drive-thru because, everybody and their brother is taking some type of pill and there's a long line at their drive-thru. So we get through the drive-thru, finally get up to the window, and they're like, oh, are you here for the mouthwash? And I said, no, we already know that's on back order. And he says, well, I don't have anything else here for you. I said, you don't have an antifungal pill? No, well, there's no record of it at all. And I'm like, you are kidding me.
I was like, I didn't cry, but I wanted to. At a certain point, it was bad. So Monday, I knew that we had her switch the prescription back. We're like, well, at this point, just switch it back to the hospital.
It's going to be open tomorrow.
Yeah. So when I woke up Monday morning, I had already received notification that the prescription was ready. So I told Bryce, we're not even doing school first. We are going to the hospital. We are getting me this magic mouthwash to work some magic in my mouth.
Yeah.
And so I went and picked it up. And what it does is numb the mouth
while it works.
While it's healing the sores. So I have to take it for 10 days. And I'm it's what, 7 days into this, 6 days into this
Yeah.
now. It is so much better. But when we went to the concert, I had the thrush.
Yeah.
And I was like,
You
I don't
couldn't
even know
hardly-
if I'm going to be able to
couldn't hardly eat
sing.
anything.
Oh, I couldn't hardly eat anything. I was only eating yogurt or ice cream. Something that was cold, kind of numbing.
Well, Bryce was singing for you because he knew every word to every song that she sang, and it was amazing to watch.
It was touching,
him.
wasn't it?
It was very touching. Like, he was all in, and now he, as much as he dislikes loud, unexpected noises, he likes concerts.
He knows now that if he wears his headphones and he knows what's coming, he must not be feeling the sound like he used to, because I think he used to feel it coming off the stage and it was too much for him. But because it was CC, I mean, I prepped him for months, and I told him it would be loud. And this was in a large church and there were 3,000 people and it was sold out. But he loved it all. He kept saying, I love this.
And he wasn't even really scared at all at any point. So
At all.
that was a blessing.
Then he told me, it's funny because, of course, I'm kind of into my own praise. I haven't been to church since November before I went to the ER and all this started. So I was really praying, and I knew I was taking a risk going to the church and not even knowing how low how compromised my immune system was.
Very,
the lowest it's been, unfortunately.
But nobody
anyway,
was sick around us.
No,
so
nobody was
good.
sick, and I know it's a large enclosed venue, but I have prayed over that, and I'm like, Lord, if you could just please protect me. I really feel I need this emotionally and spiritually. And it's been more than a week, and I did not get sick, so we're very grateful.
Thank God, yeah.
And I couldn't help but to still sing. I felt like I got through that concert. It was a great escape from everything, and we were able to really enjoy it. And then afterwards, we found the closest Culver's and went and got me some ice cream to help numb my mouth. And then there was something else I needed to get, and we were able to find a drugstore because we were in a foreign town that we didn't know. And I thought Walgreens were 24 hours, but they weren't. And this one closed at 11, and we pulled in at 5 minutes of 11.
Yeah.
So I got the other medicine that I needed over the counter, and it was just like the Lord worked all of that out. So that
Crazy.
worked out great. And, so even though so much has been going on, and, I have my good days, I have my bad days. I had a couple of weeks, 1 week that was actually pretty good. And that's when we got to go out for our dinner. But then the thrush came, which kind of crapped on my second week. I was supposed to be feeling good. And then because of my weekend immune system, went and got my labs last Sunday, and I was not able to do my chemo, which is the first time out of all the treatments that I wasn't able to have it. So I'm scheduled for this coming week, and hopefully my numbers will be better. I got a booster shot for my white blood cell count on Tuesday, and I went and got my labs on Friday, and it was still not high enough. So I got another booster shot yesterday. So we're praying now that the second shot will be enough that when I go on Tuesday morning, that they'll take my labs first, and then I can get cleared to go ahead and do the chemo on Tuesday and Wednesday. And this is really important too, because we're going to be leaving town. We probably haven't shared that I'm going to see a specialist in Boston who specializes in this cancer. And I've had the appointment on the schedule since February, I think. And I see him April 1st. That was the first date that we could get in. And so we had made plans that we're going to go up a few days early because we didn't know how I would be feeling, and hopefully be able to do some things in the morning before I tire out in the afternoon. But Friday's going to be a travel day for me, and that's going to be challenging. I'm already preparing myself, because if I have chemo on Tuesday and Wednesday, my immune system's going to wipe out again. I'm going to feel the fatigue and the nausea again. I mean, I don't know that, but based on patterns, and we're into the 5th round, and each round gets a little more challenging because there's more medication and stuff in my system. So, Friday will be, so if you're listening to this podcast before Friday, you can be saying a prayer for me as I travel, and that I will be protected from getting any germs on the plane, because a lot of people get sick when they travel on planes because all the germs are just in a tube and you're in there with it. You know, if somebody's traveling and they're sick, it's going to leave me vulnerable. So I told you I will most likely wear a mask. I think we have one of those good ones. And I might write on there, you know, something about fighting cancer. Pray for me. Don't cough near me. But anyway, once we get there, it's going to be good. I know it's all God's timing, and we're looking forward to seeing this doctor and asking him all the questions that we have. And ironically, my oncologist here is now leaving the Cleveland Clinic where I go, and I'm going to be getting a new oncologist here. So I know that's God's timing, that as I'm losing the doctor that is, you know, diagnosed me and knows my case very well and is familiar with WM, this specialist in Boston will be able to consult with my new doctor. And that gives me a lot of peace and comfort, because I'll still have one more round of chemo in April. And then after that, I don't really know what's going to happen. And that's where I'm going to be looking to this specialist to consult and guide the doctor down here in Florida. So that's...
Yep, and this is happening right in the middle of Bryce's Special Olympics schedule. So
Yes.
we had a little hiccup.
Yes.
Bryce got picked for the state competition for equine, and it's a random drawing, and he was picked. And we're like, oh, it's the same weekend that we're going to be in Boston.
Yeah.
And so we thought about trying to move our schedule to where we get there the day before we see the doctor instead of a couple of days before, but it was too difficult and
Everything was already
challenging
prepaid and booked.
to change everything. Mm-hmm. And so we told him, you know, we're sorry, but we have to, you know, it's for mommy's health.
And we gave him a choice, because he could stay here with Mama and go to competition.
And go to the competition, or he could go to Boston with us, which he loves to travel.
Yeah.
And we're going to be on an airplane. So we knew.
And we're going to new states.
Yeah.
For
that
him.
he would really, you know, it was upsetting for him, and it took him a little while to work through that, but he's okay with it now. And so, you know, he says, if I don't get picked next year, then I'm just quitting the whole thing. And you know how it is.
We're letting him work it out.
Yeah.
It was a growing opportunity for him. And that's how we have to see some of these things, you know, that's going to happen. Things in life are going to happen. And it gave him an opportunity to work through those emotions. And so we presented the opportunity, and he's worked through them.
Yeah. And we told him, you know, he gets to pick a meal while we're up there. We threw some carrots out.
For sure.
So we told him that we'll ride the elevator in the tallest building that we can find.
And we'll take him to 3 states, because we're going to be close enough to do New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts.
And we're going to try to meet up with one of our friends, or one of his friends.
Actually,
you know,
yes.
Really.
So I think it all worked out great. And he did get to do the area competition with the horses, and he got 2 ribbons, and he got a first place and a third place.
Yeah.
So, and that was another thing he had to work through. So that was a little story that he got his first ribbon, and it was third place. And this is only his second year doing equine Special Olympics, and they judge a little stricter than these other competitions that he's been in, because honestly, he gets a gold medal and a blue ribbon almost every time. So last year in equine was the first time he didn't get a first place. And so he'll tell you, I think he got 7th and 4th. And so we had told him, this is your first year, you know, not everybody gets a first place on their first year. And that's when he actually went to state. So this year he goes for area, and he got 3rd place, which again was his highest ribbon in this particular sport. And so he was happy with that, and he accepted that he was on the podium with being third while there was a first place and a second place standing next to him. And then he did the next part of his competition, and he really did very well at it. He did. And I thought he would have placed higher, but when they called his name, he was third place again. So we're like, hey, you got another third place, and that's good. And he got that ribbon, but he was very upset by that one because he really thought that he did better. And so when we got in the truck, he had some tears, and we reminded him, it's not always going to be first place, and we can't control that. And, that's something that you can work toward to get better. We didn't, I think at that time we weren't sure about state, but you're like, you're going to have other opportunities. So he's worked through it, and he had just worked through it, and I think he was accepting it well. And then we're getting these phone calls, and they're trying to call you, and they're trying to call me. So you get the call, and they're like, guess what? Bryce actually got a first place. They did it wrong. They had 2 different judges, and they didn't add their scores up for the total. So some of the athletes actually got their blue ribbon taken away, and they scored less. Well, thank God Bryce was in the seat where his third didn't matter, and he promoted up to first.
Yeah.
So he got the first place, and I thought it was great that he had worked through all of his emotions first and had accepted it, and then he got rewarded, as opposed to if he was still in a, being upset about it and expecting to get that and not being able to accept less, because I reminded him of their mantra, which is I just do my best, and you're not always going to win. And so he got rewarded for handling it well. And then he did get his first place blue ribbon, which is in his room now. So we've had, a lot of little lessons coming up, but we're, again, we always shout out to Special Olympics. We're very grateful for them, but he's doing basketball now. He's doing equine. And thankfully his next basketball competition, we will be back from Boston. It was close, but we'll be back. So he won't miss that. And
we have an air show coming up.
So we're going to work all of that out. But it's been good. I'm really grateful that he didn't have any sports going on in November and December. God knew that we couldn't deal with all that. And they actually delayed his equine from November and December to January. But then come January, he was able to start doing his practices. And it gives him something to do as well that he loves. It keeps his mind on other things. Because I know he still worries about me, because he sees me. He knows when I'm on the couch and I'm having a hard time getting up, because it's pretty much by late afternoon, I'm done for the day, But he said something, I was telling you, when he went with me to get labs. I mean, what kid? I was even thinking to myself, this has become our new norm. He has to go to the hospital for me to get labs and see that. But the nurse said something to him like, how are you doing today? And he's like, I'm good. We're not here for me. We're here for mommy. We need to get my mommy feeling better, And she's like, you're right. Okay, that's what we're going to do, So he's handling it really well. I'm sure he keeps some stuff in there that he doesn't tell us, but I don't really see it. He's a happy boy, and I feel like he gets a lot of quality time with me now, and I think that's probably offsetting some of those worries. And I'm going through his closet now, where it's like we're doing it, either play and stay, which is if he has games in his closet, then we'll play them and they can stay. And if not, it's no and go. And so that's having him take time out of his room where he does his own quiet time to come out and play with us. And you're doing it too. He loves playing Battleship with you and, different games. So I think we're doing a good job of balancing quality time for ourselves. We don't get that as much as we would like, but at least when it happens, we enjoy that. Quality time with Bryce together as a family, and then also one-on-one, you getting time with Bryce, me getting time with Bryce, and figuring all this out. So that's part of parenting autism, and that's kind of what's been going on the past month or so while we've been out. But It's all good. We got a lot ahead of us. We're on this last month stretch of seeing doctors, getting treatments, and then we'll figure out what phase 2 is, and then we'll share that as well. But we appreciate all the prayers and all of you who still reach out to us and who care about what's going on with us. You know, this is episode 136, so we've invested a lot of hours, you know, into our autism community and sharing our journey. And we appreciate everyone who still follows this journey. And it's very up and down, and we never thought we'd be dealing with cancer on top of it, but we are. And, you know, I'm still praying about what God wants me to do to help other people learn what I'm learning, you know, and we're figuring that out as well. So I think that's it, babe.
I think that's it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for me. And we hope that you who are listening will have a great day, and may the Lord continue to shine upon you and your family on your autism journeys.
Thanks for listening.
We'll talk again soon.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.